Hello everyone. Welcome back to Smart Talk English. I'm Natasha, your host for today. If you're new here, let me tell you, on this channel, we upload a new English learning video every single day to help you speak better English, faster, and with more confidence. In today's episode, you're not only going to practice your listening and comprehension skills, but you'll also learn how to naturally express yourself in everyday conversations using common English phrases. These are the kinds of expressions that native speakers use casually throughout their day. At home, at work, with friends, and even with strangers. We'll explore the meaning and use of each phrase in real-life contexts, so that you don't just memorize words. You actually understand how to use them in real situations. Whether you're ordering food, making small talk, asking for help, or simply having a friendly chat, these daily phrases will help you sound more fluent, confident, and natural. By the end of this video, you'll have a strong list of phrases that you can use right away to improve your spoken English and make conversations flow more easily. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon if you'd like to receive more helpful English learning videos just like this one. So, grab your notebook and a pen, because we're about to get started. Let's begin with one of the most common and natural English phrases you'll hear every single day. How's it going? This phrase is a casual way to ask someone how they are or how their day is going. Native speakers use it with friends, coworkers, or even with people they've just met in a relaxed setting. It's much more conversational than the more formal, "How are you?" And when someone asks you, "How's it going?" you can simply say, "Good, thanks. How about you?" Or, "Not bad." This is how small talk begins in English-speaking environments. It might seem like a small thing, but phrases like this build comfort and connection in a conversation. Let's imagine you walk into your office in the morning. Your colleague sees you and says, "Hey, how's it going?" You smile and reply, "Pretty good. Just a little tired today." That's all it takes to open a natural, flowing conversation. Another phrase you'll hear very often is, "What's up?" This is an even more casual version of, "How are you?" And it's typically used between friends or people who already know each other. Sometimes, it's not even meant to get a real answer. It's just a greeting. So when someone says, "What's up?" you can reply with, "Not much, you." Or even just, "Hey," or "All good." These short exchanges help keep things friendly and comfortable. Practice them with yourself by imagining you meet your friend at the store. You say, "Hey, what's up?" And your friend replies, "Nothing much, just picking up some groceries." You say, "Same here. It's so hot outside today." See how the phrases lead naturally into daily conversation. That's how you start thinking and speaking in real English. Now, let's move to a phrase that's used when you want to agree with someone or show that you understand them. "I hear you." This doesn't mean you literally heard what they said. It means you understand or empathize with them. For example, if your friend says, "I've been so busy with work, I barely have time to sleep," you can say, "I hear you. It's been the same for me lately." This phrase shows connection and that you relate to the other person's experience. It's especially useful in more emotional or personal conversations. Try practicing this with your own thoughts. Imagine you're talking to someone who says, "I feel so overwhelmed with everything happening right now." You respond, "I hear you. Things have been really heavy lately." This kind of language builds real conversations, not just textbook English. One of the most helpful phrases in everyday life is, "Let me check." It's commonly used when someone asks you for information and you need a moment to look it up or think. For example, if someone asks, "Do you know what time the meeting starts?" you can say, "Let me check my calendar." Or if a friend asks, "Are you free this weekend?" You can say, "Let me check and get back to you." It's polite and practical. You're not saying yes or no. You're just asking for a moment. Practice using this phrase with daily tasks. For instance, imagine someone calls you and says, "Can you help me move on Saturday?" You say, "Let me check my schedule and I'll let you know by tomorrow." Phrases like this keep the conversation natural and clear. Sometimes you need to make a request politely. And one of the easiest ways to do that is with the phrase, "Would you mind?" This phrase is softer and more polite than simply saying, "Can you?" For example, you might say, "Would you mind helping me carry these bags?" Or, "Would you mind if I open the window?" The person usually replies with something like, "Not at all," or "Go ahead." Try turning your daily needs into these kinds of polite questions. If you're at a cafe and want to ask someone to move their bag from a chair, you might say, "Excuse me, would you mind if I sit here?" This type of language makes your communication smoother and more respectful. Another phrase used frequently is, "It's up to you." This means the decision depends on the other person. You're giving them the power to choose. For instance, if you're deciding where to go for lunch and your friend asks, "Where should we go?" You can say, "It's up to you, I'm good with anything." This phrase is great for everyday choices and making decisions together. Try practicing by imagining you and your roommate are discussing dinner plans. They ask, "Do you want pizza or pasta tonight?" You reply, "It's up to you. I'm okay with either one." It's a small phrase that goes a long way in conversations. Let's now look at a phrase you can use when you're not exactly sure about something. "I'm not sure, but..." This phrase allows you to be honest while still offering your opinion. For example, "I'm not sure, but I think the store closes at 8. Or, "I'm not sure, but we might need to bring ID for that event." It softens your answer and gives the listener a chance to confirm or check further. It also shows that you're participating in the conversation, even if you don't have all the answers. Practice this in your thoughts. Imagine someone asks, "Do you know if John will be at the meeting?" You say, "I'm not sure, but I think he said he might join online." When someone thanks you, a very natural and kind way to respond is by saying, "No problem" or "anytime." These are casual and friendly ways to say, "You're welcome." For example, someone might say, "Thanks for helping me with my project." You can say, "No problem. Happy to help." Or, "Anytime. Just let me know if you need more help." This keeps your tone relaxed and warm. Practice this by thinking about your past day. Who did you help? What did you do? Then repeat these phrases in your mind or out loud to build fluency. Maybe your neighbor thanked you for watching their dog. You imagine replying, "Anytime. It was fun." These little sentences make you sound more natural. Another common and helpful phrase is, "That sounds good." You can use it to show that you agree with a suggestion or like an idea. For example, someone might say, "Let's meet at 3 o'clock." You can reply, "That sounds good." Or someone could suggest, "How about sushi for dinner?" And you say, "Yeah, that sounds good to me." It's a very smooth and easy way to keep conversations flowing without saying too much. Try making plans in your head with imaginary friends. Say things like, "Let's take a walk in the evening." Then reply to yourself, "That sounds good." You're practicing real-time language, just like native speakers use. Now let's pause and practice what we've learned so far with a short conversation. Imagine you and your friend are talking about weekend plans. Your friend says, "Hey, what's up?" You reply, "Not much. Just relaxing today. How about you?" They say, "Same here. Do you want to get coffee later?" You say, "Sure. That sounds good." Then they ask, Would you mind if I bring my cousin along? You reply, not at all. I'd love to meet her. This short conversation used several of the phrases we've just covered, and it sounds completely natural. Practicing like this will train your brain to think in English. Another very useful everyday phrase is, I'll get back to you. This is often used in professional and casual situations when you don't have an answer right away, but plan to respond later. For instance, if someone asks, can you confirm if you're free on Friday? And you're unsure, you can reply, let me check my schedule and I'll get back to you. It's polite, shows responsibility, and keeps the conversation open without forcing an immediate decision. Imagine your colleague sends you an email about joining a group meeting, but you need to think about your availability. You can respond by saying, thanks for the invite. I'll get back to you by tomorrow. This phrase helps in everyday communication, especially in managing time and commitments smoothly. Let's move on to a friendly phrase you can use to show interest in someone's life. How was your day, or how's your week been? These questions are great for opening up conversation and making others feel cared for. It's not just about asking a question. It's about making the other person feel comfortable. When your roommate walks in after work, you can say, hey, how was your day? They might reply, it was long, but I'm glad it's over. You can continue by saying, yeah, I felt the same today. Work was nonstop. These phrases allow for an easy, natural flow of conversation that connects people. Sometimes we want to say something isn't a big deal, or that it's okay, even if something went wrong. The phrase, don't worry about it, works perfectly for that. If someone apologizes for being late or making a small mistake, you can say, don't worry about it, to reassure them. It keeps things relaxed and kind. For example, your friend arrives 15 minutes late and says, sorry, I got stuck in traffic. You smile and say, no worries, don't worry about it. Practice these phrases by thinking about recent situations where someone apologized to you. Repeat, don't worry about it, in a calm and friendly tone to yourself. Another phrase that's useful in many daily situations is, sounds like a plan. This is an easy way to agree with a suggestion and show that you're happy with the idea. For example, if someone says, let's meet at 5 outside the movie theater, you can say, sounds like a plan. It adds a bit of energy to your agreement and shows that you're on board. Imagine a friend says, let's cook dinner together tonight, and you say, sounds like a plan. I'll bring the ingredients. Practice using it whenever you mentally agree with something or plan something with someone. It will make your responses sound smooth and confident. Let's talk about the phrase, I'm just looking. It's commonly used when you walk into a store and a salesperson approaches you. They might ask, can I help you with anything? And you say, no, thanks. I'm just looking. This is polite and tells them that you're browsing, not ready to buy. It's an everyday phrase used by almost every English speaker when shopping. You can also practice this in your daily thinking by imagining a store scene. You walk into a bookstore. The staff says, let me know if you need help. You reply, sure, thanks. I'm just looking for now. Now, let's add a very helpful expression for when you didn't catch what someone said. Sorry, I didn't catch that. This is more natural than saying what? Or, can you repeat? And is often used in everyday conversation. It shows that you want to understand and listen. For instance, if someone speaks too quickly or mumbles, you can say, sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you say it again? This sounds much more polite and friendly. Practice this by imagining you're at a restaurant and the waiter says the name of a special dish you've never heard before. You say, sorry, I didn't catch that. What was it called again? Another phrase you'll hear daily is, it depends. This is a short, but very commonly used phrase that helps answer many kinds of questions where the answer is not black and white. For example, if someone asks, "Do you like working from home?" You might say, "It depends. Some days I love it, but sometimes I miss the office." This phrase helps you explain your thoughts clearly and realistically. Practice using this by responding to everyday questions in your mind. Think about questions like, "Do you want to go out or stay in?" And answer, "It depends on the weather," or "It depends on how tired I am." Let's now focus on a really nice phrase for offering help. Do you need a hand? This is another way of saying, "Can I help you?" and is especially used when someone looks like they need physical help. For example, if you see someone carrying heavy bags, you might say, "Do you need a hand with those?" It's a kind and helpful phrase. Try practicing this by looking at scenes in your day when someone could use help. Imagine your neighbor is struggling with boxes and you offer, "Do you need a hand with that?" Practicing these kinds of thoughts daily builds your real conversational confidence. There's also a phrase that can help when you're unsure about starting something new or unfamiliar. "I've never done that before." It's a way to express your inexperience without sounding negative. For example, someone might say, "Do you want to join us for a salsa dancing class?" You can say, "I've never done that before, but it sounds fun." Or, "I've never done that before, so I might need some help." It's honest, but open. Practice this by thinking of something you've never tried and make a sentence like, "I've never tried sushi before, but I'm curious." This helps you stay open-minded and conversational. Another useful phrase is, "That makes sense." This is a great way to show that you understand what someone has explained. It can also mean you agree with their reasoning. For example, if your coworker says, "We moved the meeting because the manager is out of town," you can reply, "That makes sense." It's simple and natural. Practice this by summarizing explanations you've heard recently and saying, "That makes sense." It shows you are actively listening and understanding. Now let's do a little conversation practice using several of the phrases we've just talked about. Imagine you and a friend are catching up after work. Your friend says, "Sorry I'm late. Traffic was crazy." You reply, "Don't worry about it. I was just looking at the menu." They say, "Let's try that new Thai place down the road." You respond, "Sounds like a plan. I've never been there before." Then they ask, "Do you need a hand carrying your laptop bag?" You reply, "Thanks, I'm good. But I'll let you know." See how naturally all these phrases fit together in one short exchange? That's the beauty of learning Real English. Try this next exercise to improve your fluency. Think of 3 phrases you've learned today. Say them out loud. Then create a short story or situation around each one. For example, use "Let me check, I'll get back to you," and "Sounds like a plan." Your mini story might go like this. My friend asked if I was free this weekend. I said, "Let me check my schedule and I'll get back to you." Later, I confirmed I was free and told her, "Let's meet for lunch on Sunday." She said, "Sounds like a plan." This type of practice helps you remember phrases better and use them confidently. Let's continue exploring more natural phrases that can help you speak English like a native speaker in everyday conversations. One of the phrases you can start using right away is, "I'm on it." This simple sentence is a great way to show that you've understood a request and are already taking care of it. For example, if your boss or teacher says, "Please send me the report by 5 p.m., you can reply, "I'm on it." It's short, confident, and very professional yet casual. You can also use it with friends and family. Imagine your mother says, "Can you take the trash out before dinner?" and you say, "I'm on it." Try practicing this phrase whenever you start a task. Say it to yourself as motivation, like, "I need to finish this homework." I'm on it. Another common phrase that you'll hear frequently is, "Fingers crossed." This expression is often used when you hope for something to go well. For example, if your friend says, "I have a job interview tomorrow," you can say, "Fingers crossed. I hope it goes great." You can also say it for yourself, like, "I submitted my application. Fingers crossed they choose me." It's a light and friendly way to express hope. Practice this by thinking about things you're waiting for or hoping to happen. Say, "Fingers crossed it doesn't rain tomorrow," or "Fingers crossed I pass the exam." A helpful phrase when something is not exactly what you wanted, but still okay, is "that works for me." You use this to show that a suggestion or plan is acceptable. For example, someone says, "Let's meet at 6 instead of 5, and you reply, "That works for me." It's a way of saying yes without being overly enthusiastic. It sounds natural and polite. You can practice this by imagining different scenarios. A friend suggests, "Let's grab dinner after the movie." You respond, "Sure, that works for me." This helps you become more flexible and responsive in conversation. There's also the very common phrase, "I'll pass." This is used when you want to politely decline something. For example, if someone offers you dessert but you're full, you can say, "Thanks, but I'll pass." It's softer than a direct no and helps you say no politely. Imagine you're at a gathering and someone offers you a second helping of food. You can smile and say, "I'm full already. I'll pass this time." Try practicing this by thinking of situations where you want to say no in a kind way. A phrase that helps when someone shares good news with you is, "Good for you." It's used to show happiness or encouragement for someone's success or decision. For example, your friend says, "I finally joined the gym," and you reply, "Good for you. That's a great step." It's supportive and warm. You can also say it when someone is proud of something they did. For example, "I got a promotion," and you respond, "Wow, good for you. You deserve it." Practice using this in your daily interactions, even in your thoughts, to build a kind and positive tone. Let's now look at a very useful phrase when you want to ask someone to wait a short moment. Just a sec or just a second. It's an informal way of asking someone to give you a moment. For example, if you're on a call and someone knocks at your door, you can say, "Just a sec, let me check who's there." Or when someone asks you a question and you need to find the answer, you can say, "Just a second, I'm pulling it up on my phone." It's quick and natural. Practice this by pausing during your day and saying, "Just a sec," even to yourself. It helps build rhythm in conversation. Another polite and useful phrase is, "After you." This is often said when you let someone go ahead of you through a door in line, or even when both of you are about to speak at the same time. For example, if you and another person arrive at a door at the same time, you can step aside and say, "After you." Or if someone starts talking at the same moment as you can smile and say, "After you." It's respectful and courteous. Practice this in your day-to-day movements, even when walking through a space at home. Just say "after you" quietly as if speaking to someone beside you. Another powerful phrase for everyday conversations is, "That's a good point." This is great for when someone says something smart or insightful, and you want to acknowledge it. For example, during a group discussion, someone might say, "We should plan ahead in case it rains." You can respond, "That's a good point. We should bring umbrellas." It makes conversations more thoughtful and helps build mutual respect. Try this by reviewing something someone said to you today and thinking about how to say, "That's a good point," in response. A very gentle and encouraging phrase to learn is, "Take your time." It's used when you want someone to relax and not rush. For example, if someone is struggling to finish a task or find the right words, you can say, "It's okay, take your time." This shows patience and understanding. Imagine you're helping someone who is filling out a form and they seem stressed. You can say, "No rush. Take your time." Practice this tone by slowing down your own speech and using the phrase in daily routines. Now, let's bring together a few of these phrases into a short conversational practice. Imagine you and your classmate are planning to meet for group study. They message you, "Let's meet around 7. Does that work for you?" You reply, "That works for me. Just a sec, I'll confirm with Sarah." Later, your classmate says, "I'm feeling nervous about the test." You say, "Take your time. You're doing great. Good for you for preparing early." Then they say, "Should we bring snacks?" And you reply, "I'll pass this time, but you go ahead." This small scenario brings multiple natural phrases into a real-life exchange. Practice this by visualizing your daily conversations and inserting these phrases where they fit. For another practice exercise, choose 4 phrases from today's section. Let's say, "I'm on it, that works for me, good for you, and just a sec." Create a story around them. For example, today at work, my manager asked me to finish a report. I said, "I'm on it." Later, a coworker suggested we take a coffee break. I said, "That works for me." Then I heard my friend finally passed her driving test. I messaged her saying, "Good for you." Finally, when someone called me while I was busy, I said, "Just a sec, I'm almost done here." Practicing like this helps these phrases become a natural part of your thinking and speaking. These short, powerful phrases may seem simple, but they're used constantly by fluent English speakers. Learning them, practicing them, and using them in your daily conversations will help you sound more natural, more fluent, and more confident. Don't worry if it feels awkward at first. Fluency comes with repetition. And every phrase you master brings you one step closer to speaking like a native. Keep reviewing, keep listening, and keep practicing. You are doing great. Let's now explore some phrases that help you show understanding and kindness in day-to-day situations. One of the most common ones is, "I get it." This simple phrase means that you understand what someone is saying or feeling. It shows empathy and attention. For example, if your friend says, "I'm really stressed about my exams," you can say, "I get it. I've been there too." It creates connection and shows that you're not just listening, but actually understanding. You can also use it when someone explains something complicated and you want to let them know you're following along. For example, "Oh, so we need to submit the form by Friday? I get it." Try practicing this phrase by thinking back to moments when someone shared their thoughts with you. Replay the situation in your mind and say, "I get it," in response. Another extremely helpful phrase in casual conversations is, "That's the thing." This phrase is often used when you're trying to explain a reason or a challenge. For example, "I want to go out, but I'm so tired." "That's the thing, I've had such a long day." It signals the most important point in what you're saying. You can also use it when you want to explain hesitation or concern. Someone might say, "Why didn't you join the event?" And you reply, "That's the thing, I had no one to go with." This phrase adds depth to your conversations and makes your speech sound more thoughtful. Practice using it by thinking of a small situation, like skipping a party or deciding not to buy something, and explain it using "that's the thing." Let's talk about a phrase that helps you move conversations forward smoothly. By the way, this phrase is used to introduce something new that may not be related to the current topic, but it's something you want to mention. For instance, you could be talking about work and suddenly remember something else. "By the way, did you hear that Anna is moving to another city?" It's casual and natural. You can also use it in emails or messages to gently change the topic. Practice using "by the way" by imagining you're telling a friend about your day. and suddenly want to add something like, by the way, I saw your brother at the mall yesterday. Another casual phrase that native speakers use all the time is, you know what I mean? This is usually used at the end of a sentence to check if the other person understands or agrees with you. For example, I just need a break from everything, work, noise, stress. You know what I mean? It's a great way to invite someone to connect with you emotionally or mentally. Practice this by imagining you're talking to a friend and explaining how you feel about something. Say, I love quiet weekends. They help me recharge. You know what I mean? When you want to cheer someone up or show support, one good phrase to use is, hang in there. This means stay strong or keep going, and it's used when someone is having a hard time. For example, if your classmate is struggling with assignments and says, I'm so behind, you can say, hang in there. You're almost done. It's short, but powerful. Imagine someone telling you they're overwhelmed. You say, hang in there. You've got this. Practice this in your thoughts when thinking about encouragement, even for yourself. Look in the mirror and say, hang in there. You're doing your best. Another useful phrase is, it's not a big deal. This is a way to tell someone not to worry or stress over something small. For instance, someone might apologize for stepping on your foot, and you can say, don't worry. It's not a big deal. It helps reduce tension in a conversation. You can also use it to comfort someone who feels bad about a mistake. For example, I'm sorry I forgot to call you back, and you respond, it's not a big deal. I know you've been busy. Practice saying this aloud in calm and relaxed tones, just like you would in real life. There's also a phrase for when you realize or remember something. Oh, right? It's a small expression, but it adds realism to conversations. If someone reminds you about something and you had forgotten, you can say, oh, right. Thanks for reminding me. It shows recognition and acknowledgement. Try practicing this by imagining your teacher says, don't forget to bring your textbook tomorrow. You say, oh, right. I'll pack it tonight. These phrases may seem tiny, but they make your spoken English sound truly alive and responsive. Now let's try a short practice dialogue using these phrases. Imagine your friend says, I'm just so tired of doing the same thing every day. You respond, I get it. It can feel like a cycle sometimes. Then they say, I wish I could just travel somewhere and take a break. You nod and reply, yeah, that's the thing, life gets in the way. You know what I mean? They smile and say, maybe next year. By the way, did you book tickets for the concert? You reply, oh, right. I totally forgot. Let me do that now. See how these phrases make the conversation sound natural, expressive, and connected. Now let's add another everyday expression. Let's keep in touch. This is a friendly way of saying you want to stay connected with someone. It's often used at the end of a meeting, a call, or when someone is moving or changing jobs. For example, your friend is moving to another city, and you say, good luck with everything. Let's keep in touch. It shows warmth and an intention to stay connected. Practice this phrase by imagining goodbyes in your life, such as leaving a party or ending a school term. Say, take care. Let's keep in touch. Another casual but important phrase is, you never know. It's used when you want to express that anything is possible. For instance, if someone says, do you think I can get the job even though I don't meet all the requirements? You can say, you never know. They might love your experience. It's a hopeful and open-minded way of thinking. Practice it by applying it to uncertain situations in your own life. Say, I'm not sure if I'll win the contest, but hey, you never know. Here's another simple but useful phrase. No way. This can mean surprise, disbelief, or even excitement, depending on your tone. For example, if your friend says, I met a celebrity today, you can say, no way. That's amazing. Or if someone says, I ran a marathon, you might respond with, no way. I didn't know you were training. It adds emotion to your conversations. Practice saying it with different tones, excited, shocked, or just playful, to understand how it works in real-life dialogue. Let's finish this part with another conversation example to bring everything together. Imagine your classmate says, guess what? I got selected for the exchange program. You reply, no way. That's amazing. Good for you. They laugh and say, yeah, it's in Germany. I leave next month. You say, wow. Let's keep in touch while you're there. Then they say, I'm nervous, though. I don't speak the language. You reassure them, hang in there. You'll learn fast. And hey, you never know, you might end up loving it there. This short exchange shows how these small, everyday phrases help build emotional connection and positive conversation. Another expression that can help you navigate daily conversation easily is, how have you been? This is usually used when you haven't seen someone in a while and want to catch up. It's more than a simple, how are you? Because it shows that you care about what's been going on in their life since you last spoke. You might say, hey Sarah, it's been ages. How have you been? A natural reply could be, I've been good, just keeping busy with work and the kids. How about you? This kind of small talk is very useful for maintaining relationships and sounding friendly. Let's imagine a short scene for practice. You meet your neighbor at the grocery store. You smile and say, hi Mike, long time no see. How have you been? He replies, hey, I've been doing well, thanks for asking. Just got back from a trip to the mountains. You can then respond, sounds exciting. We should catch up sometime over coffee. This interaction feels natural, warm, and easy, and that's the goal when using everyday English phrases. Let's now explore a phrase that's super helpful when you want to express agreement politely. I know, right? This phrase is often used when someone says something and you agree with it completely, in a casual way. For example, if your friend says, this weather has been so crazy lately, you could reply, I know, right? It was sunny yesterday and now it's raining again. The phrase, I know, right, adds a friendly, light tone to your agreement. It's especially popular among younger speakers, but widely understood by all age groups. Try practicing it in different contexts. Imagine someone says, that movie was so emotional. You can say, I know, right? I was almost crying during the last scene. Or, these shoes are so expensive. You respond, I know, right? It's hard to find anything affordable these days. Practice saying this phrase with different tones, surprised, amused, frustrated, to get a feel for how flexible and expressive it can be. Now, let's turn to a very handy phrase for suggesting ideas. Why don't we? This phrase is great when you're trying to make a suggestion in a soft and polite way. Instead of directly saying, let's do this, you say, why don't we go for a walk after dinner? Or, why don't we try that new cafe this weekend? It makes your suggestion sound like a friendly idea instead of a command. Imagine this short example between friends. One says, I'm so bored. I don't want to stay in tonight. The other replies, why don't we go see a movie? This makes the conversation open and smooth. It invites the other person to agree or suggest something else. Practice it with different tones. Why don't we order pizza tonight? Or, why don't we finish our homework together at the library? Using this phrase shows that you are thoughtful and cooperative in a conversation. A very useful phrase that shows you are listening and involved in the conversation is, that makes sense. This is what you can say when someone explains something and you understand their point of view. It shows respect and comprehension. For instance, if someone says, I decided not to go to the party because I have a lot of work to do, you might respond, yeah, that makes sense. You've been super busy lately. It helps you sound supportive, like you're following the conversation closely. Practice using this phrase in your daily conversations or role plays. For example, if someone says, "I'm thinking of taking the train instead of driving," it's less stressful, you could say. That makes sense. The traffic has been terrible lately. It's such a small phrase, but it adds warmth and connection to your conversation. Another great phrase to sound more natural when talking about something simple is, "It's up to you." This is used when you want to let the other person decide. For example, if you're choosing a place to eat and your friend asks, "Where do you want to go?" You can say, "I'm good with anything. It's up to you." This shows flexibility and helps avoid conflict. It's polite and easygoing. Try using it in different settings. At work, if a colleague asks, "Should we schedule the meeting for morning or afternoon?" you can say, "It's up to you. I'm free both times." Or during a group decision, "Do you want to watch a comedy or a drama?" You reply, "It's up to you guys. I'm fine with either." This phrase shows cooperation and makes conversations flow better. Now let's talk about a very encouraging phrase. "You've got this." It's commonly used when someone is about to do something challenging and you want to support them. It's short for "You have got this," and it means "I believe in you." For example, if your friend is nervous about a presentation, you can say, "Don't worry. You've got this." It's casual, friendly, and very motivating. Picture this short story. Your friend is about to go for a job interview. She says, "I'm really nervous." You reply, "You've prepared well. You've got this." She smiles and says, "Thanks, I needed that." Practice using this phrase to show support in your conversations. You can say it before a test, a speech, or any situation where someone needs a little boost. Even texting it to someone can make a big difference. Let's go over a commonly used question in casual conversations. What have you been up to? This is often used instead of "What are you doing?" when you haven't seen someone for a while and want to know what's new in their life. For example, you meet an old friend at the mall and say, "Hey, what have you been up to?" They might respond, "Not much, just working a lot lately." This phrase invites the other person to share news or updates in a friendly way. Practice using it when greeting people you haven't seen in a while. For example, I saw Anna yesterday and she asked, "What have you been up to?" It was nice catching up. This phrase is excellent for deepening your social connections and starting easygoing conversations. Another super useful phrase is, "Let me think." This helps you sound more natural when you need a moment to come up with a response. Instead of staying silent or looking unsure, you can say, "Let me think, maybe we can go to the museum tomorrow." It gives you a few seconds to organize your thoughts without sounding awkward. Imagine you're asked, "Where should we go for vacation?" You can say, "Let me think, somewhere sunny and peaceful would be nice." Practice this in situations where you don't want to rush your answer. It's not only useful, it makes you sound thoughtful and relaxed. And now, here's another very practical expression. "I'll get back to you." This is often used when someone asks you a question or a favor, and you need time to find the answer or make a decision. For example, if someone says, "Can you help me with the report on Friday?" and you're not sure yet, you can say, "I'm not sure about my schedule yet. I'll get back to you." It's professional, polite, and used a lot in both work and casual settings. You can also use it in texts or emails. Thanks for your question. I'll get back to you with more details soon. Try using it in practice situations. Do you want to join the event next week? You say, "I might have something else planned, but I'll get back to you." It keeps the conversation open, without giving a firm yes or no right away. Let's continue with even more everyday phrases you can use to keep your English sounding natural and fluent. One very handy phrase is, "I'm not sure, but..." This is a great way to show hesitation or uncertainty while still continuing the conversation. You don't need to always have the perfect answer. but this phrase helps you participate in discussions without sounding rude or completely silent. For example, if someone asks, "Do you know if the restaurant is open today?" You can reply, "I'm not sure, but I think they open at 11. This helps keep the conversation going, even if you don't know the answer with certainty. Another phrase that's very useful in casual conversations is "that makes sense." You can use this when someone explains something to you and you understand or agree. It's simple but powerful because it shows you're listening and following the conversation. For instance, your friend says, "I took the longer route to avoid traffic." And you respond, "Oh, that makes sense." It's short and friendly and shows that you're engaged in the conversation. Let's talk about a polite phrase that's often overlooked, "would you mind?" This is commonly used to make polite requests. It's much more gentle and respectful than just saying, "do this." For example, "Would you mind helping me with this box?" Or, "Would you mind closing the window?" It's a great way to speak politely, in both casual and more formal settings. You can also add a "please" at the end for extra politeness. Now here's a really friendly expression that sounds good. You can use this when someone suggests an idea that you agree with. It's much more natural than just saying yes. For example, "Let's meet at the coffee shop at 5. And you can reply, "That sounds good." You can also vary it with, "That sounds great," or "That sounds perfect," depending on your enthusiasm. Here's another common phrase, "it's up to you." This means that the decision depends on the other person. It's a helpful way to be flexible in a conversation. For example, if someone asks, "Should we watch a movie or go for a walk?" and you don't have a strong opinion, you can say, "It's up to you." It shows that you're happy with whatever they decide. Let's now go into a short practice dialogue, using all these phrases in one friendly setting. Imagine two friends, Anna and Jake, are making weekend plans. Anna, "Do you want to go hiking on Saturday?" Jake, "That sounds good. What time were you thinking?" Anna, "Maybe around 10? But I'm not sure if the trail will be open." Jake, "I'm not sure either, but we can check online." Anna, "Yeah, that makes sense. Would you mind bringing some snacks?" Jake, "Sure, no problem. Should we invite Rachel too?" Anna, "It's up to you. I'm okay either way." Jake, "Let's call her. She might be free." Notice how smoothly that conversation flows, using these natural English phrases. None of the lines are too long, and all of them feel casual and appropriate for a friendly exchange. Now let's look at another phrase, "let me check." This is a helpful way to respond when you don't have an answer right away, but you plan to find it. For example, if someone asks, "Do you know what time the movie starts?" You might say, "Let me check. I'll look it up on my phone." This phrase helps you stay active in the conversation instead of going silent. Another super common phrase is "sounds like a plan." You can say this when you and someone else agree on a decision. It's friendly, enthusiastic, and helps bring a positive end to a conversation. For example, "Let's meet after work at that new pizza place." And you can say, "Sounds like a plan." Now for a few phrases related to understanding or confirming. A really helpful one is, "What do you mean?" This helps you ask for clarification if someone says something unclear. It's polite and curious, not rude. For instance, if someone says, "It's kind of complicated," and you don't understand, you can respond, "What do you mean?" It encourages them to explain more. Another variation is, "Can you explain that again?" This is also helpful when you didn't catch something or need more detail. It shows that you're trying to understand and engage in the conversation. It's always okay to ask for clarification. Let's now do another practice exercise, using these new phrases in a real situation. Imagine you're at work with a coworker named Leo. "Hey, what time does the meeting start?" Leo, I think it's at 3, but let me check. You? Okay, thanks. By the way, should we invite Mark to join? Leo, it's up to you. He might be interested. You. Sounds like a plan. And do we have to bring our laptops? Leo, I'm not sure, but just in case, maybe bring it. You? Okay. That makes sense. As you can see, these common phrases can really make your English sound natural and smooth. They're short, clear, and used all the time by native speakers in daily life. They help you express agreement, hesitation, politeness, and understanding, all in just a few words. Now let's focus on a few casual expressions people often use with friends. One of them is no worries. This is a relaxed way to say it's okay. Or don't worry about it. For example, if someone says, sorry I'm late, you can reply, no worries. It's friendly, forgiving, and used a lot in spoken English. Another friendly phrase is, I'm just kidding. This is what you say when you've made a joke or a comment, and you want to make it clear you're not being serious. For instance, wow, you ate all the cake? I'm just kidding. It helps keep the mood light and lets others know you're joking. And here's one that's really common in small talk, by the way. This phrase is used when you want to add something extra or slightly change the subject. It helps the conversation flow naturally. For example, by the way, did you hear about the new project at work? It's a gentle way to introduce a new topic. Let's go into another practice example, this time between two friends, Emily and Sarah. Emily, hey, I finally cleaned my whole apartment today. Sarah, nice. Want to come over later for coffee? Emily, sure. Oh, by the way, did you see that movie I told you about? Sarah, not yet. I was going to, but I forgot. Emily, no worries. I'm just kidding, I know you're busy. That short exchange is filled with natural, friendly phrases. They're easy to remember, and the more you use them, the more confident you'll become in conversations. Let's keep going and look at more expressions used in everyday conversations in shops, restaurants, or when traveling. One of the most basic but helpful phrases is, can I get? You can use this when ordering food, buying something, or asking for service. For example, can I get a coffee, please? Or, can I get a receipt? This phrase is short, polite, and used all the time. Thank you for staying with me through this journey of learning and practicing everyday English phrases. We've explored a wide range of expressions that people use in daily conversations, whether it's at home, at work, at school, or while socializing with friends. The more you hear, repeat, and apply these phrases, the more naturally they will come to you. Just like learning a musical instrument or playing a sport, becoming fluent in English takes practice, consistency, and patience. You don't need to memorize every phrase at once. Instead, focus on using a few new ones every day until they become part of your natural speaking pattern. Remember, English fluency is not about knowing big words, but about using simple, meaningful expressions that fit real-life situations. Keep practicing the examples we shared today. And don't be afraid to speak out loud, even if you're alone. Talk to yourself in English. Imagine conversations, or practice in front of a mirror. Every bit of effort counts. And most importantly, be proud of your progress. If you enjoyed today's video and found it useful, don't forget to subscribe to Smart Talk English and press the bell icon so you never miss a new lesson. We post new content every day to help you improve your English in the easiest and most natural way possible. Until next time, keep learning, keep speaking, and remember, fluency is just one conversation away. See you soon.